They say home is where the heart is, but for some, home is where the nightmares never end. My name is Daniel, and I live in a small town outside Columbus, Ohio. I never believed in ghosts, demons, or anything like that. I used to laugh at horror movies and ghost hunting shows. But what happened to me and my little brother in the winter of 2008 still haunts me to this day. We moved into an old Victorian home that December. My dad had just gotten laid off, and the house was a steal, a foreclosure that had sat empty for nearly 6 years. It had chipped paint, warped floors, and windows that screamed when the wind blew through. But it was big, roomy, a fresh start for our family. And that's when the watching began. Our first night there, I couldn't sleep. I chalked it up to nerves or maybe the cold. But around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to a strange sound, like someone dragging their fingernails across the walls. Slow, scraping, deliberate. I lay in bed, frozen. Then I heard it again, but closer. The noise was coming from the hallway right outside my room. I remember whispering to myself, "It's the pipes. Just the pipes." The next morning I joked about it at breakfast, but my mom went quiet. She'd heard it too. She just stared at her coffee for a moment and said, "This house is old. It makes noises." Except it wasn't just noises. There was this hallway on the second floor, long and narrow. It had a single bulb hanging from the ceiling that always flickered, no matter how many times we changed it. And every time I walked through that hallway, day or night, I felt like someone was right behind me, breathing down my neck. I'd spin around expecting to see my little brother pulling a prank, but no one would be there. My dad tried to rewire the light. He was a carpenter, good with tools, but every time he touched the bulb, the breaker would blow. Eventually, he gave up, said we'd deal with it later. Then came the humming, a low, female hum, like someone rocking in a chair, humming a lullaby. My brother heard it first. He came into my room one night, pale and shaking, and asked me to walk him to the bathroom. I was like, "Bro, you're 10. You can go pee alone." But he grabbed my arm and whispered, "She's in the hallway. She's humming again." It all escalated in February. My mom was getting tired, like drained. She'd sleep all day and wake up with scratches down her back. She started locking herself in her bedroom, muttering things about someone watching her from the mirror. We thought she was losing it, until one night, I saw her. I was brushing my teeth, looking into the bathroom mirror, when I saw something move behind me. A woman, pale skin, long matted black hair, wearing a tattered nightgown. She wasn't standing on the floor. She was floating, eyes locked onto mine. I spun around. Nothing there. But the mirror, it was fogged over, except for one handprint on the glass. A small, delicate handprint. That was the last time I used that bathroom. One day, while helping my dad clean out the basement, I noticed something strange behind one of the shelves. It looked like a boarded-up door. We pried it open. Behind it was a crawl space, about 5 feet high. Dusty, cold. At the very back of the crawl space, we found an old wooden rocking chair and piles of baby clothes. And next to it was a box. Inside the box were photographs, black and white. All of the same woman, same long black hair, same nightgown. But here's the kicker. In every photo, she was sitting in that same rocking chair, in that same crawl space. There was one final photo, and this one had a handwritten date, January 17th, 1949. That was the same day we moved into the house, just 59 years earlier. We burned the box. That was a mistake. After that night, my mom got worse. She stopped speaking English and began whispering in a language none of us could recognize. My brother said she'd stand at the end of his bed for hours, just watching him with a blank expression. We called a priest. He barely stepped through the front door before he said we needed to leave. Now he said the house had a dark anchor, a spirit tied to a moment of violence or grief that hadn't let go. When we told him about the rocking chair and photos, he said, "That woman is not gone. You've invited her back by disturbing her resting place. We moved out 3 days later. My dad never looked back. My mom had to go through months of therapy. She still wakes up at 2:30 a.m. some nights, screaming in that same strange language. The house is still there, empty. But every now and then, people in town say they hear humming coming from the upstairs window. And if you look real close, you might see her in the mirror, waiting, still watching. Some houses don't want to be lived in, some memories don't want to be forgotten, and some spirits never rest. If you're ever offered a beautiful old house for a price that feels too good to be true, remember, you might not be the only one living there.